I'm the grant administrator for the Gaines Grant, so you'll be working with me through the process over the next 18 months. Um, or you probably got emails from me. My name is Albert Nixon. So the list of the grantees for the round one of 25, we got Baron Queen for home health aid, Rutgers Bio and Health Sciences for the registered nurse resident, the trustees of Princeton University for mechanical technician, engineering technician, IT generalist, health physics technician, New Jersey Council for Roofers or pre-apprenticeship program for roofers, Raritan Valley YMCA for child care development specialists, the College of New Jersey for clinical mental health counselor, Trawler Electric for electrician, New Jersey Tutoring Corps for tutors, Bloomboard Inc. for K through 12 teachers, Learn Potential for education and training, MedSearch for medical assistant, medical decoder, pharmacy support staff, and surgical technologist. And Atlantic Care Health Services Inc. for medical assistant. A lot of returning grantees and some new ones here, which is nice to see that it's expanding. Okay, so one of the uh, newer requirements for gains is that the apprentices that you have in your program are going to be required to register with our job source, which is the one-stop system. They don't have to go into the one-stop to do this, but they do need to go to the job source website at jobsource.nj.gov and click the create a free account link, and that will get them into the system where they'll complete the registration. That way they're registered with the one stops in case they need any type of supportive services while they're in the program. And that is a requirement now that that be done. So we will be following up on that as the grants move through the transition of your enrollments and getting the apprentices started working and learning. The responsibilities and deliverables. The contract period for this round of the gains for 2025 is going to be February 15th, 2025 through August 14th of 2026. Your monthly reports are going to be due by the 15th of every month. The first report will be a combined report for February and March that will be due by April 15th. That's why we're having this meeting at this particular time frame to get you familiar with the reporting. And that way, so you could go in as of April 1st and initiate your first report to start reporting. Within 6 months of the contract start date, your program should be approved by the USDOL, and your first class of apprentices must be registered with the USDOL. And this means that by August of 2025, your program should be registered and the apprentices should be starting. If there is any delays in that process, please make sure you keep us in the loop on that because we will be watching your progress through your monthly reporting. And by the end of the contract period, the contracted number of apprentices must be placed into your registered apprenticeship program. So your deliverables that you stated in your application, by the end of the grant, you should have that number registered successfully into an apprenticeship. The one thing that I do want to mention that is not listed on here is starting at the 6th month of the grant, every 3 months, we will be having a benchmark meeting where I will send you a link for bookings through the Microsoft app for you to go in and schedule yourself a meeting with me to review your grant progress at that point. And we do have benchmarks that are associated with each of them that as I send you the link to schedule the meeting, what we will be discussing and it will be talked about. So that'll happen starting at month 6 all the way through 18. Every 3 months, we'll have a meeting. The parameters for the grant, who can participate in your grant? Since it's based on New Jersey funding, New Jersey employers and apprentices. The gains is funded using New Jersey tax money, and as such, the expectation is for the funding to benefit the New Jersey economy. Therefore, your participating apprentices must be residents of New Jersey, and your partnering employers must be New Jersey based or have a presence in New Jersey. Are there other requirements for apprentices to participate in games? Yes. All apprentices must be registered with the USDOL and issued an apprentice ID number to begin participation in the games grant. I want to stress that too. Don't go into your activity reports and start listing your apprentices while they're still pending with the USDOL. They're not eligible to be part of the gains program until the USDOL approves them and assigns them a number, because we do verify every apprentice with Rapids to make sure that they are eligible to be on the grant. All apprentices must be earning a minimum of $17 an hour. Specific wage requirements should follow the USDOL guidelines for your occupation. When you set up your apprenticeship with the USDOL, you also provided them a salary chart with the increments on it that the apprentice would be obtaining throughout their apprenticeship. The $17 is the minimum, but you should still stick to what you are approved through your apprenticeship with the USDOL still. And then all apprentices must be hired with your participating employers on a full-time basis. All apprentices have to be working full-time while attending the training. And full-time is based on what you register with the USDOL as. So when you define full-time work with the USDOL, that is what we use.
Another important point to be made in reference to when you're registering these individuals is that you can't count anybody who's registered with USDOL prior to February 15th when our grant period started. So if you have registered apprentices who have been registered apprentices with your organizations for longer than a start date of February 15th, they're not eligible to be participants of gains. It has to be from February 15th forward that they are registered with USDOL. So I just wanted to make that point because we sometimes have a question about that from grantees.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, the next one. What are the requirements for the OJT wage reimbursement? Apprentices must be paid a minimum of $17 per hour. The reimbursements cannot exceed 40 hours a week for a 52-week period. Payroll records are required when requesting reimbursement. Records should clearly show the apprentice's name, the period of work, the rate of pay, and the hours worked. These documents should be uploaded to the expenditure report for the applicable month. The OJT reimbursement is only for regular pay. It does not cover overtime, holiday time, travel time, personal time. None of them are reimbursable. It's straight regular pay. Details of the reimbursement request should be entered on the OJT chart within your activity report. The total reimbursement calculation should match the amount you bill for the expenditure report. There have been some changes in the system as far as the expenditure and activity report that Tammy's going to cover later. So I just wanted to basically, that point right there, it's all one report now. The prior grant recipients, apprentices funded through a prior gains grant or OJT grant are not eligible to participate as an apprentice in the new gains contract. And OJT reimbursement should not exceed the allocated cost per head in your budget. And of course, that will vary based on your application. Okay, Employer Engagement Unit. The purpose of the Employer Engagement Unit is to provide high-quality technical assistance, outreach, marketing, and education to the business community, serve as consultants to help identify hiring needs, and service those needs through an apprenticeship training model. The best way, if you're going to be seeking the services of the Employer Engagement Unit, is to contact me or the unit at our main email, and we will send a referral over to them to reach out to you to help you if you need assistance. There are two ways that the apprentices can express to the state an interest in becoming an apprentice with a program. And in them ways, it also allows you to be able to connect with them. So at the Department of Labor's website under career support, we do have a list of apprenticeship jobs that the applicants can go in and look for. What you would be able to do if you're seeking apprentices is you would be able to provide us the information, the Department of Labor, and we would be able to actually put the job posting for you on that site so the apprentices or participants unemployed who are looking to become an apprentice can actually find your job posting and then apply through the system to you for an apprenticeship. And that can be found at the career support on the New Jersey Department of Labor website under the apprenticeship jobs. And then the other offer that we do have that can assist you is we can send out an e-blast. So we do have a database of prospective apprentices who have inquired about various apprenticeship related opportunities. And we can send an email blast to those candidates that match the criteria specified by you for an applicant in your program. And this is just a like a sample of the email blast. So if you are having a hard time recruiting, we can target certain areas of the state that you would be looking for. We would be able to pull candidates from the state system of people who are unemployed or have recently been unemployed or underemployed. And we can send out the flyer to them to reach out to you for their interest in your apprenticeship. The USDOL contacts who you'll be working for or with, sorry. Most of you should be familiar with who your contact is if you are the sponsor of your program. But Michael Blatt is the state director, and then the representatives are based on county, which are Nicole Field, Chris Lee, Joseph Mancini, and John Martinez. We will be providing you a copy of this PowerPoint. And we also did actually in the beginning sent you this information after our first TA before the applications were taken. And now I'm going to turn it over to Tammy Radigan, who is a contract administrator too with our program. She's going to walk you through the monthly reports now.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and congratulations on your grant award. So we're going to get into the reporting process, which takes place in the IGX database. In the presentation that you're seeing in front of you, hopefully you can see it now, is our user guide. We'll be providing that, as Bill said, at the end of this presentation. So you'll have a copy of this. You'll be able to refer back to it anytime that you need it. So there's no need to quickly try and scribble a bunch of things down. You'll have this as a resource document as we go forward. So as both Bill and Al mentioned, your monthly reports are going to be due the 15th of every month. For your first report, since your contract started in the middle of a month, February 15th, we're going to have you do just one report to capture all activity and expenses from February 15th through the end of March. And those are going to be your March reports, which will become available to you on April 1st. So you're always reporting activity and expenses that incurred in the month that just ended. And your reports become available the first of every month. And so you have from the 1st to the 15th basically to compile all that data, put it in the report, and submit that over to us for review. If you're a past grantee with us, we've mentioned a couple changes to the report, so I'll try to make sure I mention those changes as we go through. But one major overall change is that there's not a separate activity and expenditure report anymore. It's actually one combined report, which we're hoping will make things a little bit easier for both you guys as the grantees as well as us for processing purposes. All right, so we'll get into the steps now. So you're going to begin, of course, by logging into the IGX database using the credentials that you use to apply for grant funding. Initially, your application or your grant contract is going to be, you're going to have to actually search for it. But once your contract has been fully executed by our executive review team, it will appear in your My Tasks section for you to easily be able to locate it and go in and out. But there's just one additional step that needs to take place while it's undergoing the contract process. It's going up the ladder through the executive review team to be finally approved. We know that you guys have already signed and done your part, but we just need the rest of the team to get it all signed and finalized. So what you'll do is you're going to go to, on your dashboard, you'll see the searches tab. You'll see this My Documents section. So you'll click on that, and then this window will appear for you to search for your application. So under type, you'll do the Gains Round 1, 2025 Round 1 application, and you'll hit search. You can use the other search fields if you want, but you really don't have to. It'll basically pull everything. And then you'll see the hyperlink here for your prospective application that you'll just click in order to access it. Now, before you start your reports, it's good to just kind of have this as your normal practice, is to visit the employer sponsor page of your grant application. So this will look very familiar to you. It's your gains application and all the respective pages. So if you ever need to refer back to those, you can always do that as well. But you're going to begin by visiting the employer sponsor page of your application. You'll click that. And then what you'll want to do is just review the employers or sponsors that you've listed on this page and add any new ones that you may have for the month. We do require the federal ID number. This is so that we can check to see if they have any outstanding tax liabilities with NJ employer accounts. If there is a liability that is found, our staff will notify you and let you know the correct steps that should be taken in order for that partner to get that debt satisfied. Unfortunately, until that debt is satisfied and taken care of, they won't be able to participate in the gains grant. It's just one of the rules that's here. If you have any questions about that, if that ever occurs, please just let us know. So to add new employers or partners, you just use the plus sign on that page, add that partner, save the page, and then once everything has been updated for the month, you can move forward with your reports. So going back to your application, you're going to use that navigation panel on the left side of the page, and you'll scroll all the way down to where you see related documents. And there's this big blue button that says initiate related documents that you'll select. A window is going to appear, and under available documents, you're going to search for the month that you're submitting the report for. So in your circumstance, your first reports are going to be March. So you'll look for the gains monthly report for March of 2025. Once you've located that report from the list, you'll then hit the create button. You'll be prompted with an agreement page. With this page, just make sure that you are actually initiating the correct report. So just verify that it's the correct month. And then you can hit agree if you're ready to move forward with that, or decline if you accidentally selected the wrong one, or whatever the case may be. The page navigation is going to be the same as it was within your application, where everything that you need to complete is going to be on the left side of your page. Also, while your report is being drafted, or it's in that status of in process, it will live within the My Tasks section on your dashboard page. So you can re-access it at any point until you actually submit that report. So this means basically you don't have to submit do everything in one sitting. You can go in and out as many times as you need. Just make sure that you're getting that to us again by that 15th of the month deadline. So you'll notice with these combined reports, we have 3 sections now on the page. We have the activity report pages, expenditures, and the payment vouchers, all within one. The flow of this, we ask that you kind of go in order. It does help because a lot of the information pushes to subsequent pages as you're moving along. So you would begin with the activity report and go to the monthly reporting page. So the monthly reporting page is going to kind of summarize your activity for the month. In this top box, you're going to indicate the number of registered apprenticeship programs approved by USDOL. This means the number of occupations that you have approved. So any newly that are added for the month, you'll add in this box. It'll also keep a total as you go. So the total before this monthly report and the total for the grant. So once you've reported all the occupations that are associated with your grant, you don't need to be adding any kind of number here. It's only new ones that were added for the month. Same thing goes for the total number of individuals placed into registered apprenticeship occupations. So as you're adding individuals into your program, you're only adding new for the month. All the others will be cumulatively captured here. An enhancement to this page that we've made is in the occupation section where we capture the specific data about the occupations you're servicing through your grant. So this is actually going to pull over automatically from your contract. So it'll pull over just the occupations, and then what you'll be responsible for each month is under the status of registration with USDOL. You're going to provide us with a status update. And this is in reference to the registering of the program. We have some instructions up here in case you get a little bit confused because it is a little tricky. But basically, we want to know if the program is fully registered, you're going to indicate that it's completed. If it's still in the works, if it's suspended for some reason, that's when you're going to use one of those other selections. And in those circumstances, we of course would require some sort of comment just to kind of understand where you are, either in the process of registering it, or if, God forbid, your program is suspended, why that happened. And then we would also want, when a program has that completed status, meaning that it is registered, that occupation is registered, we would want to know the date that that occurred as well. Then in the bottom section of the page, we have 3 questions that we ask for you to answer. Some of the wording of this, if you're a past grantee, has changed a little bit, so you just want to make sure to review it. So in question number 2, we're going to ask you to provide a summary of the activities that occurred during the month, including program development updates, placement of apprentices, and apprentice ongoing information. We review this every month to kind of get an overall picture of what is going on with your program. So it's really important that you have some good high-level quality comments here so that we're not pestering you. Well, what does this mean when you said, oh, they're doing fine? We like to have a lot of detail if possible. And then the other 2 questions that are on the page have to do with any barriers that you're experiencing, either on the program development and registration process, or from the apprentice perspective, if they're experiencing any sort of barriers. We ask for these so that we can offer any kind of assistance or resources that we have in order to help you overcome those things. The next page within the report is the participant list page. So as mentioned before, you want to wait until you have a USDOL apprentice ID number for that individual and that they are fully registered. They're not pending or anything like that. And what you'll do is you'll come to this page and you're just going to add the first and the last name of the apprentice, that USDOL apprentice ID number, and then you're going to use these 2 check boxes to indicate if they're going to be receiving grant funding for OJT or RTI or both. You can use the plus sign to add additional apprentices for the month. And this list will carry over from month to month. So each month you would just come in here and add any new additions for the month. You also have the ability to organize things by page, or you can use this employer box to label the page. So if you want an additional page to organize individuals by a particular employer, you can hit add and it would populate basically a blank page for you to do that. Now, the participant list feeds into the placement into registered apprenticeship occupations. So you'll see in this example that there were 3 participants added to the participant list, and then there were 3 pages created, placement pages created as a result of that, where we look for more individualized information on all of those individuals. So the placement page looks like this. It's going to ask for a lot of data, and originally there's going to be, a bit of data entry that has to take place, but then after the page is set up, it'll just be a matter of coming into the page each month and making any updates accordingly to the participant's progress. So the type of information that we ask for is their status at placement. Those options are new hire or incumbent. Their name will automatically carry over as that's how the page is labeled. You'll provide their address. Their USDOL apprentice ID number will populate over for you, so you won't have to do that. And then this section of the page has changed just a little bit. So if you've granted with us in the past, I'm sure you remember we had a target population field. We've now expanded that to allow for multiple selections for the individual. So if you can make sure on your intake forms, when you're enrolling participants into your programs, that you make sure you're capturing a way of getting this data somehow. So you would just select all that are applicable for that individual so that we can capture that information to have a closer look at that kind of data. You'll be asked to also provide demographics information, gender, race, ethnic heritage. You'll have your date of birth for that person, their starting wage, and their apprenticeship start date as well. Then in these blue sections, we tried to color code things a little bit. So if you've granted with us in the past, this is a little bit new. We've color coded basically the things that you should kind of review on a monthly basis. So you can just easily go right into the page and look at those particular fields and make the updates accordingly. So the status of the apprentice with USDOL, so they're going to be mostly registered, but if anything happens where they withdraw from the program or they complete, you would make that update accordingly. I think canceled, not withdraw. Sorry, I used the wrong term. And then there are text boxes to follow, or date boxes to follow that based on any kind of changes. So if the individual is canceled with USDOL, we would want you to provide that date. If the individual has completed, we would ask that you provide that date. Or if the individual is suspended with USDOL, we would want that date. The next section is the status of apprentice performance to date. So you would make that selection, and if that changes along the way, you would just make that update. And then we want to know the total OJT hours to date and total RTI hours to date. So you should be coming in each month and making sure to update these boxes, because if you don't update them, it basically looks to us like the apprentice didn't participate in the program for that month. They don't have any change in their hours or anything like that. And we do actively track that. We do look at what you reported last month in comparison to make sure that there's some sort of change. This is the bottom half of the page. So you'll have to put in the sponsor information. This is going to pull from that employer sponsor page within your application. That's why we kind of have the flow of you updating that page first so that that information will populate here for you to be able to report on. But if you do notice that a sponsor is not listed, you would just need to go back to your application and add that sponsor accordingly. I also want to just say that that includes yourself. So if you are the program sponsor for the program, make sure that you are listed so that you can report activities on your program. You're going to provide the NACE code, the registered apprenticeship occupation, which an enhancement to this report also is that this drop-down menu will only show you those, only show you those that are included within your contract, that you're contracted to serve those occupations. So it'll be a little bit easier to navigate for those of you who have granted with us in the past. It was quite an extensive list and a little bit tricky to navigate. So hopefully that'll make reporting a little bit quicker. And then type of job placement, it's going to be either union or non-union or the selections there. The next section has to do with the employer information. So if the employer is the same as a sponsor, you could just use the checkbox and it'll automatically pull that in. Or you would just use the selection menu to select the correct employer. Again, that's going to pull from that page within your application. So if someone is not there and you need to report on that particular employer, you have to go back to your application and make sure to add them. So the training milestones is the next section. You'll notice that's in blue. So as different training milestones are occurring, make sure that you're reporting on those. There's, I believe, 5 different selections there. It's like completion of OJT, passing of an exam. As those different milestones occur, which are usually consistent with different reporting that you do in Rapids, make sure that you're reporting those to us as well, and the respective information based on whatever the selection is that you choose. Certification information, this is in blue as well, so you'll come here if there's any certifications that the individual has earned for the month, you'll indicate those there. Notice with all of these that you have the plus sign on the end of the rows, so you're able to add more than one, and we want you to add more than one. We want to give you credit for everything that you've done, so make sure that you are reporting that. And then college credit as well. So if your program is built to capture college credit or give apprentices college credit, make sure that when they've actually earned those things that you do add that to this page. So you'll need to do this page for every single one of the apprentices that are part of your program. And it'll display like you saw before, where you have individual pages based on the labeling of that apprentice that you'll need to go into and add their information. Okay, the OJT wage reimbursement. So we've changed this page a little bit too. First thing is we have a preferred template that we would like for you guys to use. Some of you may be familiar with that already, but the template can actually be found right on the page where it says here. You can download it. It's an Excel document that provides all the information that we would need in lieu of a payroll record submission. So if you could fill that out each month, and then you can actually upload it right to the page. We have this little section here. It says, please upload your OJT wage data sheet to support the OJT billing. That would be great. This is required whenever you are requesting reimbursement for OJT. So please, ideally, if you can use that template, we would appreciate it. If for some reason you can't, just let us know and we'll try to work with you with that. It just makes it a lot easier than combing through a lot of pay stubs, as you can imagine. And the bottom section of the page is where you're going to give us the specific information about your OJT wage reimbursement. So for name of apprentice, this is going to pull from your participant list. So if a participant is not listed, or apprentice is not listed, you would need to go back to that section of your report, make sure to add them so that they become available on this drop-down menu for you to select. So you'd select the apprentice. You would use these two checkboxes here to indicate if the wage reimbursement is associated with OJT hours, or there sometimes are circumstances where the employer chooses to pay apprentices their regular wages while they're attending RTI. So if that weird scenario kind of happens with your program and that's what you're seeking wage reimbursement for, you would use that checkbox to select that as well. So you could have both of these or just one of these. It's whatever those specifics are of your program. Then you're going to indicate the number of hours that are associated with the reimbursement. You'll enter the current wage here and then the 50% of that wage. So if they're earning $20 an hour, 50% would be 10. And then you're going to indicate the total funds that you're requesting the OJT wage reimbursement for, which cannot exceed 50% of the total wage reimbursement. So if the total all earnings that the person has is $1,000, you wouldn't be able to request more than $500 for that individual in reimbursement. The match would just be the remaining amount, so 500 and 500 in the example that I just gave. The source for cost share or matching funds, I believe the only selection from here is employer, and then you would select the name of the employer, which is pulled from your employer sponsor page within your activity report, or I'm sorry, within your application. An enhancement to this page that we've made is now the total OJT cost amount will pull over into your expenditure report automatically. I would still verify it in the beginning just to make sure, because it is a new enhancement. We want to make sure everything is working correctly. But anytime that you would need to make an adjustment to that number, if it doesn't look right and it's the same on this page, you would have to edit this page somehow to make it correct for what you're seeking actual reimbursement for. You won't be able to have the ability to edit it on the expenditure report. You would have to revisit this page. Then there's, of course, the miscellaneous attachments page. It's optional. If there's anything additional that you want to add to the activity side of things, you would upload that here. You're required to put in a title as well as the upload if you do use this page, but again, it's not required. Okay, and then we have a couple of upload tools. If you choose to use them, it's not required. Some grantees find it a lot easier to use them, so I'm just going to quickly review them. There's the participant list upload tool. It's an Excel document, which you can find the template when you click participant list upload tool. It brings you to this window here. The template is here where it says click here. It's an Excel document that basically would push the data that you enter on it when you upload it to the participant list. So instead of manually typing in the name of each of the apprentices that you've added to the program and their USDOL number and all of that information that's on that page, it would push that data to that page for you from the Excel document that you've prepared. If you do use this tool, make sure that you maintain the same list every month, that you're not changing things around, and you would just add new additions to the bottom of the list as you go. The placement into registered apprenticeship upload tool is, you'll be able to find the template on that page as well. And that basically pulls to the placement pages within your activity report section, those quality placement pages. And what that updates would be any changes. So any of those blue boxes that you saw on the page, it would be able to update those on a monthly basis. So if you want to use that tool, you can as well. Same kind of goes though, once you add an individual on that Excel document, you want to maintain that document and not move things around. Just add any new additions to the bottom of the page and update the fields accordingly for those individuals.
We can't reiterate that point that Tammy just made multiple times, so I'm just reiterating it over and over and over again. Please, if you're going to use these tools, be careful that you're not moving names around, you're not deleting anything from it. You are going to pull up what you submitted last month, you are going to update it at the bottom of the page, or change or update the information specific to a participant that's already listed. You do not want to list a participant more than once on the report. And you do not want to change the order in which they're on that report, because when you do, it will sometimes throw the system for a loop. Remember, it's checking and balancing itself, but it is still just a database that uses names and numbers. And if you move things, change things, or remove things, it gets confused and it will throw all your stuff off, and we'll have to have plenty of time spent trying to correct it. It just slows down the process for us to be able to approve your reports. It would slow down the process for us to ensure that you get payment for any of the services you've provided, and those things are stuff that we do want to avoid as best possible. So please, if you have any questions before you use these tools, ask them and we'll be sure to help you, or at least give you guidance. But I would suggest that you take that point that Tammy has made multiple times, and now I've made at least twice, very, very seriously, because it could negatively impact your reports. It won't make it to where we can't fix it. I don't want it to sound like it's like the end of the world, but it is going to slow things down dramatically for you, and I don't want to have that happen. So sorry.
No, thank you. Okay, now we have a extra little tool that we added to the reports. So if you've granted with us in the past, you haven't seen this before. It's called a participant data report. And what it essentially is it's going to pull all of the participant data that you've entered so far into one cumulative report for you to be able to, you could save it for your records, you could review it to see if there's any errors in some of the information that you've entered. So when you click on Gains Participant Data Report here, it's going to pull up a screen that looks like this, where you can either review the information on the screen itself, or you have the option to export the information to an Excel document. So to export it, you would just click that export button and follow the prompts to be able to save it. It's not required that you use this for any reason, but it's there for you to utilize in case you want to have, something for your records, or have the ability to review things more quickly than going through each individual page. All right, so those are the activity report pages within the monthly report. Next, we're going to move on to your expenditure. So under expenditures, you'll begin by clicking the first item, Gains Expenditure Report. And it's going to pull up basically a chart of your cost summary within your grant application. You'll see the columns in the middle, they're current expenses that are divided by program or admin, and it'll have each of the line items that you've included within your budget. So you would just go and enter any expenses that were incurred for the month prior. You'll notice with OJT, as we mentioned before, that figure is going to automatically pull over. So if that number is incorrect, you would need to go back into the OJT page of your activity report section and update that page to get this information to update to whatever figure that should be that you're trying to bill for. We do have this question at the bottom of the page. It's a little bit confusing. It says, is this your final expenditure report? You should always be selecting no until it's the very last report of your contract. We do have a warning message that pops up just to kind of further explain that in case you do enter yes for some reason in the middle of the grant contract, but it should always be no, because it's not your final billing ever. It's just, this is just another report for the month. Just like with the activity report section, we do have a miscellaneous attachments section within the expenditure report. So if you wanted to add any documentation to keep it as a repository for receipts or anything like that, you could do that in this section. Again, it's not mandatory. It's up to you to utilize if you'd like to. It would be the same thing though, where you would need to enter, you'd be required to enter a description or a title as well as the name or as well as the upload document. And then the last section that you're going to complete is your payment voucher section. So you'll click on where it says State of New Jersey Payment Voucher. And then it's going to pull up a roll up of your total billing as well as your NJ start information. So all you'll need to do is just review the information on this page. Review your payment address, make sure all of that looks correct, review your vendor ID number, and review the total amount that you're billing for to ensure that that's correct. If anything is incorrect, especially as it pertains to the NJ start account, please let us know. As far as the amount billed, if this is incorrect, you would just need to go back to the expenditure report page within your monthly report and make that update so that's the correct billing for yourself. But if all looks good, all you have to do simply on this page is just use this checkbox to mark off that everything is good and save the page. Once you have everything completed and you're ready to submit the report over to us for us to review, you're going to use the left-hand side of your page under that navigation panel. You're going to scroll to where it says status options, and you'll notice there'll just be one status for you to select, which is expenditure report submitted, review required. All you need to do is click that. A window will pop up confirming that that's what you want to do, that you want to submit your report to us. And if all is good, then you just hit OK. And that is basically your monthly report. I think we're going to turn it back over to some questions now.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Al. So as for those of you who have been recipients of our gains grant in the past, you'll notice there are some updates, some changes to the process, some changes to the reports themselves. So I'm sure you guys will get a little more comfortable with them moving forward. They won't necessarily change on your previous grants that you received. So, if that's the case, you just have to make sure you pay attention to that. But ultimately, uh, I think they'll be helpful. They'll make your jobs a little easier. It'll also make our job of making sure that we review both reports simultaneously a little easier. And I think that that's the part that we're trying to um, uh, be a little more capable of doing. On top of that, I also think we're really trying to enhance these reports so that we can gather information from them quickly and accurately to both notify our commissioner and governor's office with, legislature with, especially when we get to like budget hearing times like we're getting to right now. We always want to make sure that our data is accurately depicting what you guys are doing out there. And we want to capture as much of what we can to show them that these programs are useful, that they're necessary, and that we should continue to fund them. In a funding world that we're in right now, where everything is scrutinized and questioned, we have to be sure to have as much information as we can when the eh, when it comes to the point of having to answer questions and provide legitimate reasons for why we should continue these programs. So that's what this is hopefully going to help us to do. It also will hopefully enhance your ability to utilize the database smoothly, quickly, timely, um, and ensure that we're all kind of on the same page when it comes to things. Um, so with that, I just want to make sure that we show you on Al's page. Sorry, Al, if I cut you off before you could go over this, but this is the contact information for the Office of Apprenticeship. Director Jim Manning, who many of you know from being in this unit in the past. He's the director of the Office of Apprenticeship and Business Services. Myself, Bill Sarbuck, chief of the Office of Apprenticeship and Work-Based Learning, and then we have the general inbox where if you have any questions or any needs whatsoever, please always reach out to apprenticeship unit at dol.nj.gov, and they will definitely direct you, provide you information, and help you in any way they can. The team is wonderful. I will vouch for all of them. So with that, I want to get to questions. So I'm going to pull up the chat and see if I see anything in there. I don't see any questions in the chat currently. Does anybody have any questions? You want to unmute yourself and ask them?
Yes, what is full-time?
So full-time employment technically is 38 and a half hours or more by state law, but what we're considering full-time is what you've gotten approved by USDOL. In some cases, depending on the occupation, USDOL accepts less than 40 hours or less than 38 hours is what they consider full-time. They'll adjust the plan to complete your registered apprentices. So the way they work things is they basically have a requirement of 144 hours of related technical instruction on an annual basis or more, or 2,000 hours of on-the-job training or more. In some cases, certain occupations don't get near 2,000 hours in a year. So a 12-month program might be extended and might become an 18-month program with USDOL, just based on how long it's going to take you to get to that 2,000 hours of on-the-job training. The minimum number of on-the-job training hours to complete a registered apprenticeship, though, is 2,000. Depending on your occupation, it could be way more than 2,000. But we call full-time employment anything that is approved by USDOL, and that's something that when you're creating your programs or when you created your programs is something you created based on the number of hours you said it was going to take to complete it and how long you said it was going to take to complete your program. So, like I said, if you said it was a 12-month program and 2,000 hours, you do the math. 2,000 hours divided by 52 weeks, it works out to like 38 hours a week, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Any other questions?
In the chat, there's one that they want to do a press release about the Gaines grant. Who would we contact at DOL for a statement or quote?
Submit it to us, the apprenticeship unit at dol.nj.gov, before you post it, and we will get it approved. It's super simple process. It probably won't take more than a day or two unless there's something crazy on there and I have to put it through our marketing department. Usually I don't have to, but sometimes I have to. Any other questions? So another thing that came up, I just want to mention this to you all, see what everybody thinks as this is as of this. But in our PACE grant meeting that we had this morning with the round one PACE recipients, they had discussed having quarterly meetings with each other, mainly so that they can help each other to eliminate barriers, discuss strategies, maybe even work together in any capacity. And I would not be adverse to having you guys do the same here in Gaines, or working with the PACE grantees to assist them with that as well. At the end of the day, our goal here when it comes to any of our grants that we issue are to establish a successful model that will give you the best chance at being at meeting all of your goals, and also ensuring that your participants are receiving the services optimally. And I think that these types of this type of team building and working together can be helpful. So I just want to throw out there that you may hear from us probably sometime in like July, asking who would be interested in participating in a meeting like this. We may make them mandatory at some point, or at least to some of the individuals, because we see they're struggling and need some ideas. So we will be in touch as we get closer to the summer to discuss participation in something like this. We'll take the lead initially on these meetings. If we think and see that it's beneficial for us to participate in them, we'll continue to participate with them. If we think that we're kind of in the way and we're slowing down progress that you guys could be having without us there, we'll defer and we'll have somebody become the lead of the team that develops these meetings. But initially, we'll be the lead on them, and we'll reach out and we'll see who's interested, and we'll try to do it initially with those participating that are interested, and then if we feel like it's really something that's benefiting and we think it would be helpful for everyone, we'll let you know and we'll go from there. But I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, give you guys some expectation, and we'll move forward. As Al said, he's going to schedule his meetings with you individually just to go over where you're at to ensure that he's making himself available to you, and also so that we can go over any concerns that we have with your grant. Like I said before, it really comes down to helping you be as successful as we can. If we're not providing you with the assistance you need, then at the end of the day, um, we can accept blame for whether or not your program has been unsuccessful. So we're going to do everything in our power to ensure that that's not the case, that we've done everything in our power, both you and us, to be successful. And we'll continue to do that as the grant period goes on. I know 18 months sounds and feels like a long time. It's going to go by really fast, so enrolling your participants as soon as possible is key. You do have the first 6 months to get your programs approved with USDOL if they haven't been approved already, but if you've gotten them approved and you're ready to start right now, go right ahead, get started. Uh, your first month's report will be open as of April 1st, so you'll be able to go in and start entering information on April 1st. It'll be all your participants from February 15th until March 31st. Yes, all right, I had to do a song in my head. And at the end of the day, um, once March 31st hits and you're on April 1st, you can start those reports. If at any time you have any questions or you need any assistance, please feel free to reach out to the team at apprenticeshipunit@dol.nj.gov. I don't have any additional questions in the chat. I haven't had anybody raise their hands. I just want to make sure I don't end the call without one last, any questions?
Well, for us being new, I mean, this was a lot. It's hard to visualize, but I'm sure when we go to do it, we'll have questions. So our
Sure.
point of contact is our count as the director in charge of our county.
Nope, Al, Nick. Oh, well, the reports that we just showed you, your contact would be us because they don't have access to the reports. Um, if you're in the process of getting your program approved by USDOL and you have any questions specific to that, then it would be your county ATR with USDOL. Those would be the John Lee, or John Martinez, Joe Mancini, um, Nicole Field, those individuals, which are on one of the slides that we provided, but we'll give you all of that information after this call. But if it's in reference to any of the reports that we went over on this call, you would contact Al Nixon or just the apprenticeship unit at dol.nj.gov email address, and we can get back to you.
And what do we contact our local county person for?
Have you gotten your registered apprenticeship program approved by USDOL already?
I don't think so. I mean, we really haven't done anything. Didn't know what to do.
Who are you? What organization are you with?
Parent Valley YMCA.
Okay. Hey, Al, I know Al's going on vacation, um, but maybe we can touch base after this. I don't want to, specifically speak to your situation by yourself, but you should be working with USDOL, your representative. I believe your application read as though you've already started that process, but it sounds like that might not be the case. and you should be working to get that program approved by them for your occupation. But yeah, Al can and the team can help you with that.
Thank you.
Tina, I see you have your hand raised. If you want to unmute yourself, go right ahead.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I just have a question. Sometimes it takes longer than the 15th for all of our expenditures to post for the prior month. What do we do in a case where everything has not posted just yet?
So we are a reimbursement model. We can pay on anything that you've paid already. So if you have proof of payment, you can report it to us. Um, if you don't have proof of payment, then you can't report it to us. You'd have to wait and report it in the next month's report. Um, I would say we can be a little bit open and give you maybe a day or two extra on the 15th if you request it. But I would say reach out to us at apprenticeshipunit@dol.nj.gov. Tell us how long you think it'll take for you to get all the information you need, and we can let you know if we can approve the additional time. Otherwise, you would have to wait and submit it in the next month's report.
Okay, that's perfect. I just wanted to make sure that the deadlines as far as like the 331 weren't going to be super hard as far as if it posted in that period, it had to be
Oh, no.
reported in that period.
No, we just need you to have proof on file of the payment, but whether it happened in March and you billed for it on your report for March, or it happened in March and you bill on your report for April, we don't care about that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, well, I want to thank you all for giving us your time and attention, and for your questions. And we look forward to working more closely with you in the interim. Obviously, if you have any questions or need any assistance, please reach out to us at apprenticeshipunit@dol.nj.gov, and we will respond as timely as we can. Otherwise, thank you all again. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of your Monday, this rainy Monday here in New Jersey.